Britain has effectively legalised knife crime for Muslims as long as the circumstance is that a Quran has been burnt. Hello everyone, this is Andre Walker. Thanks so much for watching this video. Please do donate to the Patriot Fund below. It's the best way to absolutely guarantee, no, it's one way to absolutely guarantee that you can protect British people in their times of need. I was protected by the Patriot Fund when I was threatened with legal action over the Trump dinner. Didn't even need to spend any money in order to protect me, which is great. Okay, and the update is coming. I'll tell you that at the end of the video. Okay, let me tell you a little story. So, this is the story of Judge Adam Huddleston, who gave Mustafa Kadri a 20-week suspended sentence. It's suspended for 18 months at Knightsbridge Court in February. He is somebody who, and this is Kadri, by the way, he is somebody who stabbed somebody for burning a Quran. Now, I want to say to you, before we start with any of this, I don't believe in two-tier justice, but I don't hate my Islamic neighbours. I'm good friends with them. Equally, I don't think you should burn a Quran. I think it's a nasty thing to do, and I think that you're just insulting people. I don't support it being illegal, but I wouldn't really speak to anyone who did it because you're just offending people. I personally was given the Quran by a very good friend of mine, and I don't touch it if I've come into contact with alcohol in the previous 24 hours and I wash my hands, just because I'm being respectful to him. But why is this interesting? This guy slashed at him with a knife when he burnt the Quran. And he said, "I'm going to kill you," which apparently is not cause to throw you in jail. And that means now that we add to what happened with another case, which is this, where another man had burnt a Quran. He burnt it outside the Turkish consulate. The reason he burnt it outside the Turkish consulate was to complain that Turkey had ceased to be a secular nation and instead was turning to religiosity. Now, actually, I don't know whether it had a major problem with Islam or whether it was just an issue between church and state, but it wasn't a religious protest he was making. Now, somebody attacked him. And somebody else tried to trip him up, and the guy who attacked him attempted to stab him with a knife. Now, what did the judge say in that case? He convicted the guy, and he said, burning the Quran, the fact that he was knifed as a result of burning it was additional proof of how wrong it was for him to have burnt it in the first place. I think that's the first time in British legal history that a criminal offence is something that was taken into account but in sentencing the victim, if you see what I mean. So he said, look, you know, ordinarily I wouldn't do you for burning a book, but because somebody stabbed you, it's obviously proof that that wasn't a very nice thing to do. What a ludicrous situation. And obviously the man that stabbed him escaped jail himself as well. And so here is the situation. We are pandering to terrorism. Now, I strongly believe that we should discourage people from offending their neighbours. I don't think it's a good thing to do. And I think we should strongly discourage people from burning a Quran. But what message does this send out to the fundamentalists within our community? And there is now a large fundamentalist community in Britain. When they want to start attacking our infrastructure and attacking us, we say to them, look, if you were to burn a Bible, you'll get away with it. If you burn a Quran, then somebody can stab you and they're perfectly legally entitled to do that. Well, they'll get a bit of a slap on the wrist. But what about Adam Huddleston himself, the judge? Because I find this absolutely bizarre. Huddleston jailed in 2021, Huddleston jailed a 35-year-old businessman for 1 year for sending rude and at times threatening emails to John Bercow, Ed Davey, Ian Blackford, Jeremy Corbyn, Amber Rudd and others. He said, "I have no doubt that you harbour a deep-seated animosity to those who held opposing views to your own and that appeared to be your motivation. The contents of those emails were vile." So if you stab somebody and you are a Muslim, then you get no prison sentence. If you are a white British Christian dude and you send angry emails, you get a year in prison. This is the classic two-tier justice system that we are concerned about. And I think that we've got to now start looking at this. Had this guy stabbed somebody for burning a Bible, I think he would have gone to prison. But no, he doesn't get prison because it's a Quran. Now, there is a slightly different religious point here. In the case of Christianity, Jesus is the revelation. In the case of the Quran, the Quran. In the case of Islam, the Quran is the revelation. Therefore, people in Islam view the Quran as important as Christians view Jesus. But that doesn't get away from the fact that it is a book that is widely circulated, and you can't keep a level of control on a book that you perhaps might keep with one artifact that is kept in a museum, and therefore it is ludicrous to start complaining about what has taken place here. I am very concerned about this because Adam Huddleston as a judge is clearly somebody who's a lefty. He's clearly somebody who has got into his profession, because he's a lefty, extremely proud to jail somebody who he views as a patriot, but not jail somebody who he views as an Islamist. And what this comes down to really is something that needs to change under the next government. It's something I've been banging on about on this channel for a little while. It's all about this issue of judicial appointments. I'm going to tell you what Stephen Barrett told me about judicial appointments. Right. When barristers start their career, they are starting a project which might be, say, 30 years in order to get to the Supreme Court or to become a law lord in the old days. Right, so the reason why you are non-partisan as a lawyer and as a junior judge is because if the Lord Chancellor appoints you as a senior judge or indeed to the Supreme Court, you know, he's going to look at your entire previous career. And he is a political figure in of himself because the Lord Chancellor is a government minister. We now call it the Justice Minister. But all of that changed under Gordon Brown. He changed it to having a Judicial Appointments Committee. Now, the Judicial Appointments Committee is full of lefties. So what they will do is, first of all, they will promote their left-wing friends. I think we've seen that in the judiciary. But secondly, people will start pretending to be lefties or making sure there are judgments that a left-wing committee would approve of. Adam Huddleston is acting in his own best interest because he knows that when he attempts to become a Supreme Court justice, the fact that he is pro-Islamist and anti-patriot will be a huge thing that will be a tick in his favour. Now, if Nigel Farage or Ben Habib come in, here's what they're going to do. They're going to abolish the Judicial Appointments Committee and bring back the Lord Chancellor in his full role, which I think is absolutely superb. So what will happen is those people who have acted in a political fashion during their career will never get appointed. And in fact, the non-political people, or maybe right-wing people, there's none of them in the judiciary, but they would be appointed instead. And I think that that moves us forward massively, because the problem is, time and time again, two-tier justice doesn't exist because one person has edicted it. That's not the case. What happens is everybody within the system knows it's within their best interest to act in a two-tier fashion. Everybody knows it's better to be pro-Islamist and to let them off lightly than it is to support patriotic people. Frankly, we saw this in Weimar Germany when Adolf Hitler got a very low sentence for his attempted coup d'etat called the Munich Beer Hall Putsch, which is where the judges knew that in the fullness of time it would be good for their career to not go hard on these terrorist insurgents. Well, of course, we now have that in Britain, which is judges know that it is best to leave the Islamists alone and be as nice as possible to them. And they have the whole judiciary on their side, whereas patriots don't have anything like that at all. I have to say to you, my Muslim friends do not wish to acquire the right to commit knife crime. They don't wish to have that. And they certainly wouldn't wish to harm anyone, even if they acquired that right. But it's been given to them nonetheless. And I think that when you watch videos like this, people start complaining at me for being racist or Islamophobic. And the point is, Adam Huddleston is not a Muslim, right? And so what is happening is exactly the same with the grooming gangs. What's happening is a bunch of liberal white apologists are giving Muslims the right to groom, or giving Muslims the right to commit knife crime, and then blaming the Muslims, which I think is particularly and egregiously offensive to those people who are decent, law-abiding and tax-paying citizens. Please donate to the Patriot Fund below. MailChimp have taken away the block on the account, so I can now send you the update. What you do is if you donate, I get your email address, and then we send out that update to you. And we do that once a month, though it's taken 3 months this time. Until next time, goodbye.